All right, today we have One Way Athletics 12U Black versus OS Elite. One Way being the blue jerseys, moving from right to left. OS be from the left to the right. One Way wins the drawback. Puckett moves over to Ewald. Ewald gets the puck stolen from her, but Puckett's able to push it back out to center ice. Picked up by Shanson. Enters the zone. Pass across, intercepted. Puckett holds the zone. Now it pops out of the zone. Puckett puts it back in. Akerson tags up and chases. OS with the puck around the corner, loses it to Akerson, but then get back. OS up along the left side. Puck squirts under their stick. Out to center ice. Shanson with it. Enters the zone. It's taken down. Now Akerson finds it along the boards. Drops it back to Puckett. Puckett back past Akerson. Just out of the reach of Elizabeth. Shot through the crease. OS moves the puck out through neutral zone. Into the one-way zone. Puckett finds it. Moves it across to Ewald. Ewald pins up the OS player against the boards. Moved around behind the net. Up the left side goes Elizabeth. Off the boards and around a player. Keeps it. Centering attempt just out of the reach of Bradley. Garner with it at the point. Centering attempt. Picked off by OS. Moved out of the zone. Up through the neutral zone. Picked up by Itzen. Pushed back out to the neutral zone. Bradley with it up along the right side. Shot blocked by the defender. Picked off by Jorgensen. Garner finds it, slaps it in towards the middle. Minter fights for it. Now Minter comes away with it, loses it there. Almost intercepted by Artis. Now Garner pushes it forward. All the way down into the OS zone. Now behind their net, they'll move it up the right side. Shot deflected high and wide. Picked up by Artis in the corner, moved forward. Just out of the reach of Minter. Now Minter will get it. Move it back to Artis. Artis up the right side. Enters the OS zone. Ewald with it. Loses it there to OS behind the net. Puck held in by one way. OS will retreat with it and regroup. Puck moved out to the neutral zone. Intercepted by Akerson. She'll chip it in. OS around behind the back of the net and up the left side. Skates through the neutral zone. Into the one-way zone. Shot wide of the net. Centering attempt through everybody. Picked up by Shanson. Move forward off of Wagner's stick. Akerson and Wagner in. Akerson shot. Rebound. Shot by Shanson. Puck still loose. Shanson finds it. Centering attempt picked off. Puck skated through the neutral zone by OS. Into the one-way zone. Good stick there by Ewald. Centering attempt out of the OS stick and then broken up in front of the net by Wagner. Saved by Peterson. Puckett with the puck. Skates it out from behind the net. Tries to get it out of the zone, but it's held in by OS. Shot from a sharp angle. Cleared out by Puckett. And that'll be an icing call against one way. Faceoff come down here to the left of Peterson. Faceoff won by one way. Moved out of the zone. Bradley loses it. OS brings it in. Shot turned away by Peterson. Garner with it behind the net. Backhand pass up to Jorgensen. Jorgensen's pass across to Bradley. Bradley fights through a couple of hooks. Shot and pulled down. Moved along the right side, out to the point to Garner. Garner winds up. Shot a little wide of the net. Itzen keeps the puck in. Jorgensen with it. Skates around one, skates around two. Can't get a shot off. Puck's in the corner, picked up by Elizabeth. Centering attempt, and it'll be covered by the OS goalie. Faceoff coming to the left of the OS goalie. Dolly on the draw for one way. Dolly wins it over to Minter. Off a Minter stick and goes over to the OS player. Thrown through the neutral zone, all the way back to the one-way zone. No icing. Ref saying Ewald could have gotten to it. Minter's pass up. Minter with the pass up to the middle. Minter along the left side. Looks for a centering attempt to Dolly. Dolly dusts the puck, gets a shot off, a little wide of the net. Played to the corner by the goalie. Puck comes out, held in by Ewald, pushed back low. Dolly gives chase. Now Minter with it along the boards. Moves it out to Puckett. Puckett centers, but one way's going for a change. Nobody there for it. OS skates the puck out to the neutral zone, cross center ice, into the one-way zone, and they'll be offside. Wagner takes the draw for one way, wins it over to Shanson. Shanson with it through the neutral zone. Tries to step around the OS player. Gets the puck back. Centering attempt. Pops loose. Akerson. Big windup on a shot. Doesn't get anything on it. Puck goes over the boards. Picked up by Shanson. Centering attempt to Akerson. Shot. Scored! That's a Wagner to Shanson to Akerson goal. That will put one way up 1-0 with 8 minutes and 30 seconds left in the first period. Wagner on the draw for one way, wins it forward. Akerson pushes it down into the OS zone. Played there by the goalie off to the side of the net. Shanson gives chase. Shanson pesters, pulls the puck off of her stick. Wagner holds the zone. Back to Shanson, over to Jorgensen. Shot, saved, turned to the side. Shot by Elizabeth, caught by the OS goalie and held on to it. Elizabeth takes the draw for one way. Puck comes over to Jorgensen and pops out to Ewald. Ewald will shoot. Turned away by the goalie. Puck loose, coming through the danger zone. Ewald pushes it forward to Jorgensen. Jorgensen with it in the corner. Pestered there. Puck moved out to Ewald at the point. Ewald fires, caught by the OS goalie and held on to. Jorgensen on the right wing. Bradley on the left wing. Elizabeth taking the draw. Puckett and Ewald at defense. Face off one. Elizabeth. Puck pops out. Jorgensen steals it, brings it back into the zone. Across to Elizabeth. Tip chance just wide of the net. Centering attempt. Out to Jorgensen. Turns. Her shot's deflected. Puckett fires one wide of the net. Picked up by Elizabeth in the corner. Pass out to the point to Ewald. Ewald bobbles. Gets it thrown back to the corner. Elizabeth will give chase. Centering attempt. Bradley gets shot off wide of the net. OS with the puck, moving it out the left side. With speed. Dumps it into the one-way zone. Picked up there by Bradley. Around behind the net. Skates right into the back of Puckett and loses the puck. But finds it again along the boards. Moved out to the neutral zone. Jorgensen with it at center ice. Skates in all alone. Shot, caught, dropped by the OS goalie. Nobody there with her as everybody was on a change. Shot by Puckett, tipped by an OS player and played off to the side by the goalie. Dolly with the puck behind the net. Rings it around the boards, but defense is off on a change. Garner will pick it up at center ice. Circles back. Pass bounces over an OS player's stick. Minter with it along the boards. Steps past one, centering attempt. Picked off by OS. OS with speed through center ice, up the left side. Shot caught by Peterson and held on to. Nice defensive work there by Itzen, keeping that player to the outside to give a nice easy shot for Peterson to catch. Dolly on the draw for one way. Face off one forward and covered by Peterson. Dolly on the draw. One forward by OS. Played to the boards. Centering attempt goes off a body. Minter picks it up, gets it on her stick out to the middle of the ice. Sticks tangled up. Artis gets taken down. OS tries to clear the puck. Picked off by Garner. Thrown back in. One way will go for a change, leaving Minter just to fight by herself down there. Puck dumped all the way down by OS. Garner catches it just before the icing call. Puckett blocks a shot with her stick. Shanson finds it out at center ice. With speed up the right side. Shot wide of the net. Good speed there by Shanson. Centering attempt past everybody. Picked up by Ewald. She'll dump it in deep. Akerson fans on a shot. Akerson with it behind the net. Passed it out to Ewald. Ewald shot. Turned away by the OS goalie. Akerson with it in the corner. Moves it to Wagner. Around the boards. OS picks it up. Shanson puts pressure on. Wagner has the puck in her feet and kicks it back. Now Puckett with it, returning into the one-way zone. She'll step around one, around two, gets to the third one, and loses the puck. Now Shanson with it. Shanson into the zone all alone. Good stick lift by OS. Shot. Turned away by the goalie. Ewald tries to get a shot off. Puck moved out to center ice. Brought into the zone by OS. Itzen with it along the backboards. Elizabeth with up along the right side of the boards. Gets bumped. Keeps the puck. Gets it out to center ice. OS with it. Itzen falls down, but gets back up, recovers in time to get a foot on that puck. Puck moved out. Bradley with it. Bradley across to Jorgensen. Jorgensen in on the right side. Slows down with it, waiting for help. Centering attempt. Dolly shot wide of the net. Puck sits along the board. OS takes it out. Cross center ice. Into the one-way zone. Kept wide by Ewald. Shot turned away by Garner in front of the net. Minter gets the puck out at center ice. Loses it there to OS. Ewald with it. Uses the boards. Bank it off out to center ice. OS in along the left side. Shot wide of the net. Picked up by Minter along the boards. Minter banks it off the boards and it goes out to an OS player. Shot blocked by Ewald. Good pressure from OS here. Minter retreats to grab the puck. It's slapped off her stick, but she recovers. Shot blocked by Garner. Got it with her hand. Artis with it out at center ice. Loses it to OS. Puck moved in along the boards by OS. Challenged by Puckett in the corner. Puckett comes away with that one. Now Minter with it. Skates into the neutral zone. Pass to Artis. Pass across to Artis. Loses it in her feet. Now OS with it. Skates out of the right side of the zone. Skates past Puckett. It's in. Good save by Peterson. Shanson with it. Skates past one. Moves it forward to Wagner. Just out of Wagner's reach. Wagner puts pressure on. Gives Shanson the time to steal that puck. Centering attempt. Akerson out to the point to Itzen. Cross the point. Garner loses it outside of the zone. OS comes away with that puck in the neutral zone, brings it back into their zone. Shanson puts pressure on, steals it. Under a minute left here in the period. Puck out to the point to Itzen. Fires, comes off a body. Akerson unable to put that rebound away. Akerson with the centering attempt. Behind the net with it. 30 seconds left in the period. Centering attempt to Ewald. Shot wide of the net. Back to Akerson behind the net. Off to the corner. Out to center ice where Itzen grabs it. She pushes it back towards the OS zone. Pass picked off by Akerson. She'll push it in deep. 10 seconds left in the period. Puck moved out by OS to center ice. Itzen retreats for it. 1 second left. She'll throw it back out into the neutral zone, and that'll do it for the first period. Score after one, 1-0 in favor of One Way. Starting the second period with One Way moving from left to right, facing off against OS. We'll be moving from right to left. One Way in the blue uniforms, OS in the white uniforms. Elizabeth on the draw for One Way. She wins the draw back to Puckett, moves it to Ewald. Ewald passes forward off of Elizabeth's stick. She'll put it into the zone. Racing for the puck into the corner. She gets it. Centering attempt broken up. OS moves it out to the neutral zone. Jorgensen puts pressure on. Bradley throws it back into the zone. OS retreats behind their net. Pressure put on by Elizabeth. Puck up along the boards. Ewald with it, throws it in on net. Tipped by a defender right into the goalie, and she'll hold on to it. Face off won by OS. Back to the defenseman. Elizabeth pulled down there in the corner with the arm around her head. Pressure put on by Bradley. Puck stolen by Jorgensen. And everybody's feet. Jorgensen comes away with it. Pushes it towards the net. OS with it behind their net. Long pass out of everybody's reach. And that'll be icing on OS. Face-off will come back to the left side of the OS goaltender. Face-off taken by Dolly. Pops out, just past Artis. Dolly with it right in the middle. Shot, save, shot, another save. Rebounds loose. Sitting in front of the goalie. She finally gets a glove on it and covers. Face-off in between the center's feet. Pulled away by OS. Number 10 from OS will take it up the left side of the boards. Pestered by Dolly. Gets it forward to another player. Dolly chips it across. Picked up by OS. Offsides, though, so they'll have to retreat. Minter gets the puck out along the boards. And that'll be offsides. As OS was on the change, and she just came on inside the zone and got hit with the puck. Wagner on the draw for one way. Puck gets caught up in her feet. Picked up by OS. Brought in. Shot. Blockered away by Peterson. Ewald kicks it forward to Akerson. She'll throw it ahead to Wagner. Wagner will speed up the right side. Over to Akerson. Shot from far out on the right side. Rings around the boards. Puckett throws a shot wide of the net. Akerson will find it along the boards. Out to the point to Ewald. Ewald across to Puckett. Puckett winds up. Soft shot. Tip by Wagner. Up off the goalie's arm and just wide. Beautiful tip. Ewald at the point. Shot low. Tip by defender. Put wide of the net by Shanson. Pass out to the point. Pass Puckett. She'll have to retreat to get it. No icing. As one way is the one that shot that. Puckett circles behind the net. Skates with it. Up through the neutral zone. Pass across to Wagner. Wagner will chip it in. Right to Akerson. Akerson whiffs on a pass. Puck comes out to center ice. Shanson with great defense. Gets underneath the arm of a OS player and takes the puck away. Now Shanson with it at center ice. Shanson up the left side. Looking for Akerson on a centering pass. She tips it right off the goalie. Puck sitting there in the crease. And OS takes the puck out and dumps it down. Shanson back to gather it. And that'll be offsides on OS. Face-off won by OS, but pushed into the zone. Itzing grabs it, takes it through center ice. Up the right side, stick handling, chops, throws a shot on, big rebound in the crease. Shot by Jorgensen, turned away. OS picks it up in the corner, dumps it up along the boards, held in there by Garner. Another clearing attempt right off of Garner's leg as she's standing up after falling down. OS across the neutral zone, throws it in deep. Itzen plays it along the boards, gets to an OS player. She'll throw it through the crease. Picked up by Bradley, moves it forward. Jorgensen gets a stick on it. OS recovers, but pestered by Jorgensen. Puck moved over to the OS defender, up through the neutral zone. Itzen will come back and play it. Itzen with it across center ice. Into the zone. Gets a soft shot off, right into the goalie's leg, and she'll put a paddle on it and cover. Dolly, Minter, and Artis out there is the line for one way. Puck gets drawn back, off a Puckett stick and out into the neutral zone. Moves it across to Ewald, gets caught up in her feet. And that'll be offsides. Face-off pulled over to Minter. Now OS gets it off of Minter's feet and back into the OS zone. Minter races for it. She's the first one there, takes it around behind the net. It's pestered. Puck held up in her feet. Artis with it along the wall, centering attempt. OS collects. Dumps the puck out just off of Ewald's stick. Puckett back to collect. Steps around one. That'll go over to Dolly. Dolly moves it forward up the right side. Into the right side of the zone with speed. Strong skating, looks for a centering attempt. Played out by the goalie. OS up the left side. Skates past Ewald. Shot high, blocked it away by Peterson. Dropped and covered. Face-off will come to the right side of Peterson. Wagner on the draw with Shanson and Akerson as their forward pair. Itzen and Garner on defense. Face-off one. Wagner takes it up. Up the right side through the neutral zone. In along the right side. Bobbles the puck a little bit. Hits the brakes. Centering attempt picked off by OS. OS skates through the neutral zone. Up the right side. Itzen picks that one off. Comes out. Shanson's going to get called for tripping. Shanson will go to the box, 2 for tripping. Quick whistle on the ref there when the OS player touched it. Put it up high, wide in the net. Face-off will come to the right side of Peterson. We got Elizabeth and Jorgensen and Garner and Itzen for one way. Face-off won by OS, but pushed forward right into Jorgensen. Picked up there by Elizabeth. Elizabeth with speed through the neutral zone. Pushes it forward past the defender. Along the side of the boards, behind the net. Circles, shot through the crease. Garner steps up and keeps it in deep. OS breaking it out along the left side, gets it out of the zone. Thrown in by Jorgensen. Played out by OS. Elizabeth with good pressure, gets the puck away from the OS player. Pass just out of the reach of Jorgensen. That'll be icing. Faceoff will come back to the right side of the OS goalie. Goaltending switch for one way. We got Tucker in net now. We're switching about halfway through the game, each game. Peterson started this game. Tucker will finish it. OS moves the puck out through the neutral zone. Puckett retrieves it. Artis with it at center ice. Ref blows the whistle for too many on the ice, but doesn't call a penalty, just lets them stop and change. Face-off one and pulled back by OS. Move to the defender in the gray. Up through center ice. Dolly gets a stick on it. Now Ewald gets it. I think the girls forget that they can ice it today. This is summer hockey rules. So delayed offsides and no icing when you're on the penalty kill. OS along the right side of the boards. Pass intercepted by Puckett. She'll throw it back in deep behind the net. Artis gives chase. Puck moved out of the zone. And we're going to get a quick whistle there on an offsides, even though we were playing with delayed offsides today. Technically, per rule, it was an errant whistle, so should be faced off at the closest dot in the zone that it was in, which would have been the OS defensive zone. But refs move that face-off out to the neutral zone. Pass across out to the point. Over Tucker's glove. Wide of the net. Akerson clears that puck out of the zone. OS retreats in the neutral zone. Chanson out of the box. Oh, one way back to full strength. Ewald with it along the boards. Fires it through the neutral zone, out of everybody's reach. And it was tipped, so they're going to call no ice. Chanson finds it behind the net. Centering attempt blocked. Ewald to hold the zone. Gets it back to Chanson, who loses it at center. Puckett with it behind the net. Skates it out. Moves it forward to Akerson. Into the right side of the zone. Shot wide of the net. Chanson gives chase. Pushes one off of it, but OS retrieves it. OS through the neutral zone. Walks in. Good patience there. Good stick by Garner. Gets that puck popped up wide of the net. Garner with it. Skates up the left side. Dumps it in deep. OS with it along the boards. Try to clear the zone. Held in by Itzen. Jorgensen finds it. Moves it down low. Jorgensen pulls it off the boards. Centering attempt picked off by OS. Pass intercepted at neutral zone by Jorgensen. Walks into the zone. Gets hooked. Finds the puck. Shot. Deflects wide of the net. Out to Garner at the point. Garner shooting. Tipped. Redirected right to the edge of the net. Now pulled behind the net. OS with it. Dumps it along the left side of the boards. Out of Itzen's reach. Georgie with some stick work. Moves it out to Jorgensen. Beautiful pass across. Just off of Bradley's stick. OS retreats behind their net up the left side of the zone. Into the neutral zone. Left side of one-way zone. Shot. Caught by Tucker and held on. Face-off coming to the right of Tucker. 4.5 minutes left in the period. One-way still leading 1-0. OS wins the draw, pushes it forward. Minter comes away with it. Got a one-on-one here. Minter with speed up the left side. Backhand shot, deflects off the defender and onto the side of the net. OS with it along the right side of the board. Ref steps right in front of her. She has to pull it away from the ref. Out to the point. Put in by Puckett, wide of the net. OS retrieves it in the corner. Out past Artis, but kept in there by Ewald. Down to Artis. Minter with pressure. Puck comes out past everybody all the way down. Ewald will pick it up behind her own net. Pass off the boards. Picked up there by Artis. Up to Dolly. Dolly moves it into the zone. Shot scored! Maya Dolly. Good patience and a good shot by Dolly. Well, that'll put one way up 2-0 with 3.5 minutes left in the second period. One way forgot to put an extra defenseman out, but the refs gave him a chance to get her out there. Garner with it along the left side, dumps it in deep. Akerson finds it behind the net. Taken away from her by OS. Wagner puts pressure on. Now puck comes out to the OS player along the right side of the boards. Skates through the neutral zone past Garner. Itzen with a good play to get to that puck. Moves it over to Akerson. Akerson's pass to Shanson too far. Will not make it for icing. Itzen holds his own. And that one pops out past her. Good stick by Akerson to keep that puck free in the neutral zone. Now it comes back to Itzen. Pass up to Shanson. Couple girls tied up there in the center ice. Wagner with some good physicality. Shot blocked by Garner. Shanson throws that puck out. It gets off to Wagner. Thrown just out of Akerson's reach. She'll skate to get on it. Has it alongside of the net. Backhand score! Akerson with a backhand off the goalie and into the net. So that'll be a Wagner to Akerson goal. That'll put one way up 3-0. 2 minutes and 14 seconds left in the period. Elizabeth wins the draw over to Jorgensen. Jorgensen walks into the right side of the zone. Skate handles, stick handles through a couple. Gets it turned away. Physicality coming here from one way. Bradley uses her body there against the boards. Jorgensen gives chase and loses an edge. OS with it along the left side of the boards. Elizabeth throws it along the boards. Back to Bradley. Bradley looks for an outlet pass up to Jorgensen, but gets deflected. Now it's out to center ice to OS. Jorgensen can't quite get enough stick on that to push that all the way down. Ewald with it, throws it out, just bouncing over Jorgensen's stick. Ewald across center ice, into the zone. Stick handles, shot wide of the net. Puck moved out of the zone by OS. Garner hustles back for it. Backhand pass goes to OS. Ewald turns that shot away with her stick. Artis with it out at center ice. Gets it tipped away. Now Dolly with it. Dolly up the middle. Pulls it back. Shot. Save. Rebound. Shot. Save. Score! Artis with the goal. That'll be a Dolly to Artis goal. And that'll put One Way up 4-0 with 44 seconds left in the period. Face-off push back to the OS defenseman. She'll throw it up the right side. Garner gets a stick on it, and she'll retreat to grab it. Turns, skates, moves it forward to Dolly. Dolly plays it out to center ice, where OS picks it up. Now Itzen with it. Throws it forward, just out of the reach of Minter. Minter gets to it on her backhand. Skates around the net. Centering attempt turned out, but back to Minter. And back to Minter. West moves it out of the zone. Garner picks it up, passes it back to Itzen. Itzen moves it forward to Minter. Minter across just out of Artis's reach. And that'll do it for the second period. One Way leading 4-0 going into the third period. Start of the third period. One Way in blue moving from right to left. OS from left to right. One Way currently leads 4-0. Puck played up by Puckett. Moved back in by OS and then picked off by Shanson. Shanson moves it forward to Akerson. Akerson has it tipped, but One Way keeps it in the zone. Shanson along the boards. Pulls the puck out. Looks for a pass over to Puckett. Puckett winds up, throws one in. Tipped by Akerson. Doesn't make it to the goalie. OS up the right side. Steps around Puckett. Ewald with a good stick lift. Pushes that shot wide. And it looks like we're going to get a call on Ewald. For hooking. Hooking. Must have gotten a little too much of that stick lift and pulled. I thought it looked great. Face off coming to the right of Tucker. Shanson will take the draw. Puck won by OS, but then picked off by Puckett. She'll skate it forward, dump it out of the zone. Puck brought in by OS. Looked a little offsides. Garner gets it out to center ice. Puck moved in. Akerson falls down. Itzen throws it right into Akerson. And we will get an offsides call. Shanson on the draw for One Way. OS pulls it forward. Shanson steps away with it. Shanson in with speed all alone. Shot scores! Shanson unassisted to put One Way up 5-0 on a short-handed goal. Shanson won that drop, pulled it to herself, stepped right between the two defenders, and top shelved it. .43 left in the third period, of One Way leading 5-0. Elizabeth to take the draw for One Way. Draws it over to Bradley. She pushes it back to Garner. Garner dumps it. OS behind the net. Gets pestered there by Bradley. Itzen finds that puck along the boards and throws it forward, but OS collects. Into the right side of the zone, kicking it to herself. Centering attempt back behind the net. Elizabeth along the boards there, puts pressure on, and Garner pulls it out. Off the boards. Up to Bradley and off the boards. Kept in the zone there by OS. Bradley gives chase. OS to the point. Bradley steps into her, but she's able to pull it back to herself. Save made by Tucker. Puck dangerously sat in front of her until it was cleared out. Bradley puts a shoulder down, takes that puck away. Bradley's pass gets intercepted there in front. Shot high and wide of the net. Itzen kicks it over to the corner. And Garner tied up in front of the net, which gives a chance for Elizabeth to take that puck and move it forward to Artis. Artis in along the left side. Backhand attempt picked off there by OS. Now One Way is back to full strength. Itzen finds that puck, comes out of the One Way zone, moves it forward, gets it into the zone. Pass attempt deflects off a defender. Puck is dumped down by OS, and that'll be an icing call. 11:52 remaining in the third period, with One Way leading 5-0. Dolly on the draw for One Way. Won back by OS, but then taken away by Minter. Ewald with it at the point. Backhands it in deep. Artis gives chase. Breakout pass, bounces off the boards and stays away from the OS player, giving One Way a chance to get to it. Puckett with a shot from the point, deflected by a defender and right into the goalie. Face-off will come to the right of the OS goalie. Wagner, Akerson, Shanson, the line for One Way. Ewald and Puckett, their defensive pair. Face-off one, back to Shanson, over to Puckett, out to Ewald at the point. Shot high and wide of the net. Shanson gets it behind the net. Centering attempt out to Ewald. Ewald shot deflects in front of the net. OS will take it up through the middle. OS player dumps it in. Picked up there by Puckett. Skates around one. Out to the neutral zone. Moves it forward to Shanson. Shanson with speed. Pulls it to the backhand. Shot score! That's a Shanson to Akerson goal, putting One Way up 6-0. That'll move this game to running time. I think if we go to a second assist, we got a Puckett to Shanson to Akerson on that one. Running time now here for the third period, and unless OS scores a goal to bring it within 5. Elizabeth on the draw for One Way. Surrounded by Bradley and Jorgensen. Jorgensen up the right side with the puck. Turns with it along the boards. Pushes it in deep where it's picked up by OS. Good pressure by Elizabeth makes that pass deflect off of Jorgensen. Now it's kept in by one way. Jorgensen with it. Pressured. Bradley shot deflects. OS picks it up, takes it out through the neutral zone. Puck picked up by Elizabeth along the right side. Backhand pass deflects off a couple bodies. OS picks it up and it's turned away by Garner. Off to the boards, picked up by Bradley. Bradley with good pressure there, makes the OS player dump it to Itzen. Itzen throws it out into the neutral zone, picked up by OS. Itzen steps in front of that pass as well. Now the puck comes out to the neutral zone, moved across to the defensive partner. Jorgensen gives chase. Chase is behind the net. Pressure up along the boards. Itzen finds it. Backhands it, moves it through the neutral zone, back into the OS zone. Puck moved forward by OS, but intercepted by Garner. Moved up forward to Dolly. Dolly along the boards, gets pinned up against the boards, loses her stick. Now the puck comes past her. And brought out of the zone by OS. Minter finds it, pushes it forward. OS player gets in the way. It's in her feet. Now Minter into the zone with it. Along the left side of the boards, takes on two of the OS players. They take it away from her. Dolly with good pressure gets a stick on that one, pushes it to the corner. Now she'll fight for it. 8.5 minutes remaining in the period. Artis moves it out to the point to Ewald. Ewald shot on, turned away by the OS goaltender. Puck moves out to Ewald at the point again. Shot, saved, and covered by the OS goaltender. OS wins the draw, pulls it back into the corner. Akerson gets in front of that pass. Centers it, but is picked up by OS. Shanson steals that one. Gets it back behind the net. Wagner putting pressure on. Causes him to dump it out to Ewald. Ewald moves it to the middle of the ice where it's picked up by an OS player. Good defense by Puckett, gets a stick on it, moves it to the side. Centering attempt. Ewald has their player tied up in front of the net. Can't get her stick on it. Passed out to Shanson. Shanson has a bounce off of her stick. Puckett with it. Moves it forward to Shanson. Shanson's pass up through center ice to Akerson. Akerson collects, gathers, shot wide of the net. Not high and wide for an Elena special, but just wide. Elizabeth steals that one. Centering a pass, just out of the reach of Jorgensen, out to Garner. Garner shot, tipped by Elizabeth, just wide of the net. Bradley gives chase. Puck pops out past Garner. Now the puck played out. Past Bradley. Delayed offside, so OS will have to retreat. Puck moved up to Bradley, cross center ice. Passes Jorgensen inside the zone. She gets pulled down. OS skates it across center ice and dumps it softly. Itzen plays it along the boards, gets back past her to Bradley. She'll play it up. Now Jorgensen finds it. They'll throw it down the ice. Picked up by OS in their zone. OS moves out with it into the zone. Along the right side of the board. Centering attempt goes off a body. Now past the front. Out to the point. Soft shot blocked by Garner. Garner puts pressure on, leans on her, keeps her out wide. Puck's bouncing around down here by the boards. Artist gets a stick on that. It bounces out to Minter and then back to an OS player. Dolly with it, skates around one. Good pressure from OS, leaning on her. OS player steps around one, but Puckett coming off the bench is able to get to that. Puckett moves it forward into the zone, gives chase. Good pressure from Puckett. Allows the rest of the one-way team to get out there and down into the zone. 4 minutes remain in the third period. Wagner to Shanson. Shanson's shot deflected by the OS goalie. She'll pull it to the side. Clearing attempt kept in there by Ewald. Akerson retreats to play a little defense there and throws it in deep. Shanson just trips herself. Now Wagner's got it pinned up against the boards. Pulls it out off of Shanson's stick. And they'll come back and steal it back. Shanson skates through the middle, leaves it there for Akerson. Shot off a defender. 3.5 minutes remain. Puck comes out to the point. Puckett with it. Walks up the middle. Shot. Rebound. Akerson turns, fires it off the side of the net. Puck comes out to center ice where Puckett will collect it. Gets it across to Ewald. Ewald moves it forward just out of the reach of Bradley. OS moves it up along the boards where it's picked up by Ewald. She'll push it forward. Now Elizabeth steals it, moves it over to Jorgensen. Jorgensen up the right side to Bradley. Off of Bradley's stick to Elizabeth. Her shot is deflected and doesn't make it to the goalie. Elizabeth will fly into the net. Centering attempt off the goalie's stick. Pass out to center ice off of Garner's leg. Garner gets a stick on it, pushes it back out, and Bradley picks it up. Bradley all alone, 1-on-4. Soft shot deflects off a defender and off the goalie's leg. Puck moved back, picked up by Itzen. Cross to Garner. Garner moves it forward off of Jorgensen's stick. OS skates through center ice with it. Pushed wide by Minter. Good play by Minter to reach around and get that puck off of her stick. Centering attempt there, but Itzen has the defender wrapped up. Puck skated out by Jorgensen. Dumped in. One way will go for a change. Minter chases, puts pressure on. OS tries to break it out along the right side of the boards. Puck moved back in, 1.5 remaining in the period. Puck dumped all the way down by OS. Didn't make it, and it was tipped. Pass around behind the backside of the net, picked up by Artis. Artis moves it up to Minter, all alone on the left side. Looks for a centering attempt, but it's deflected away by the defender. Sticks with it and gets it out to the point. Just push back in deep. OS gets a chance to regroup there as one way had a delayed offsides coming. Good stick by Artis to move that puck away. Now we get a 2-on-1 situation with Shanson and Wagner. Shanson across to Wagner. Wagner pulls it back. And that should do it for the game. I don't think they'll drop the puck again. That'll be a 6-0 victory for One Way Athletics. I guess they will get one more puck drop in. Wagner finds it in the pile of feet, and that'll do it. That's a one-way victory. 6-0. Puts the record at the tournament at 2-1. With their defeat this morning, 4-3, and their yesterday's victory of 5-0. And we will return tomorrow when we figure out what game they play in.